So you said you wanted me to go through some Rob Smith stuff, right?
Yeah, just some sample trade plans.
Okay. You're actually lucky because Lee had me do some of the full time frame like that's one of our setups now is entering on full time frame continuity, which isn't really exactly his stuff, but it kind of sent me down a rabbit hole of researching his stuff to understand it. So
yeah.
unlike a lot of Mark stuff, which I really had never researched, I actually have a good feel for Rob stuff, so it should be a lot easier to just do this.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, Mark stuff is it's just you have to be there in the moment, and if if you've got other things going on, it's a little difficult.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So just to start out, we're gonna just make. Do you want to do a specific time frame or?
No, I guess probably the hour chart, or
Okay.
or if you go down lower than that, I don't
sure.
have a preference.
Okay, so I'll walk through a couple and I'll show the advantages and the negatives of each one. Right now, at the moment, we don't have the Strat fully implemented. It's something that we plan on doing because the Strat is really cool from what I've seen so far. But right now, you can do entering on things like candle breaks. Okay, so fine. So let's do like a Strat 60. Okay, well, just you got to give the config a title, right? And ideally you should want to leave the direction long, short, blank, so that you can decide, on the go. The symbol blank also. I mean, you can choose the symbol if you'd like, but it's just much more configurable if the symbol is blank, right? So you can do a Facebook, and then you can do an Apple, etc. Fine. And then obviously when you trade, you want to use dollars or quantity. Okay, so I'm gonna try and make this a little interactive so it's more tangible to you.
Yeah.
Do you want to do dollars or quantity? Like, do you have a specified dollar amount that you're trading every time, or is there a specified quantity amount?
Okay, I mean, it all depends, So I would, I would just do a dollar amount.
Okay. Okay, so we're using Trader or the brokerage in our account. I'm just gonna do the simulated so we can actually I'll do it as this right now. Okay, fine. So, and then we move on. So that's the brokerage. That's the account number. Then we have working the order. Working the order is basically, I don't. If you want to go deeper into this right now, we can. It's a little bit more complex, but I think it's an incredibly valuable tool. It starts between the bid and the ask, and it tries to place limits and modifications within the bid ask, right? So let's say, your bid is 1.7, your ask is 1.75. You can have it start at 1.73 and then change it to 1.74, et cetera, as opposed to just entering, at the market at 1.75. Would you like to go through that now or skip it for later?
No, we could do it later. I know it's like a pretty big rabbit hole to go down.
Okay, it's extremely
for explaining and everything, but I know the value of it though.
Yeah. Okay. So do you trade stocks or options?
Options.
Great. Okay. So we have three types here. I think you actually suggested this one. We have the OTM1, ITM1, and we have you have your chain. You type in your symbol, the chain will pop up. And you can choose the tightest spread out of that, right? Or you could go simply OTM1, ITM1. Do you have a preference for an option chain strategy?
No.
Okay, so fine. But just to be clear, this will always, and this is live updating, we'll always try to trade OTM1, first out the money. This is always the first in the money. And this will always try to do, based on the options that you provide us, we'll always try to choose the tightest spread. Okay.
Right. So in situations where you may have higher dollar amount options that are first out of the money, like a Tesla or an Amazon, then I guess then at that point you would have to go to the drop down box and pull an option up that would be more in line with the dollar amount that you're looking to invest in
So
that
not
trade.
not exactly. We have, this was just the change strategy. We have a bunch of filters, which you can take your box and really shrink it. Which it's really cool. So
Okay.
yeah, so fun. So we have a bunch of filters, and these filters will take that huge box and we'll make sure that we choose an option that will execute your trade plan the way you'd like it to be executed. So we have the tightest, so we have one filter is for tight spreads, right? And this says, filter out anything over 5%. Now, okay, so meaning, right, so we have this in here as a default for safety and strictness with options trading. It's your choice whether you want to use it or not. The upside is that you never actually get into an option that will give you a horrible spread.
Right.
The downside is that when you trade Tesla, there's so many times you just want to get in, and the spreads are like 7%, right? Think about 7% is 1.7 bid, 1.8 ask. So, this should be used with care, because there's like a lot of times where you're like, thank God that saved me. And then there's a lot of times where you're like, oh my God, I only had that trade. So your choice, you should be doing this along with me just so it's more tangible, but your choice whether you want that or not. I personally have it in, and depending on the time frame, like if I'm going to trade an hourly candle, I'll make it a bit bigger. If I'm trying to do a smaller time frame, I'll do it small, because my experience, the number one thing that kills you in options trading is trading a bad spread. So, but that's completely your choice, and you don't realize how often like you get into options with the over 5% spread. And it could very well be that you're always, if you're trading Tesla, let's say, you might not always get a 5% spread on your option, but it could very well be that there's always an option that's going to be good enough, and you could just leave it off, right? Boeing would kind of fit the same kind of billing. Do you see the purpose, the upside, the downside?
Yeah.
Okay, so I personally leave it in. Your choice about what you want to do. And we have also a filter for tight spread cents. Never trade a spread more than 25 cents. It's really more minute, and it's kind of redundant in a sense. I think this one's much more broad, because tight spread cents, you do 20 cents, and then all of a sudden your 7.27, bid of 7, ask of 7.2 gets filtered out. So this should cover it, but we have this option, filter, let's say all options over 20 cents. Okay. And we also have an option price range, which was getting into more what you were talking about, which is making sure that you don't trade. Let's say, you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you're trading a tiny option that has no delta, right? And you don't want to be stuck in a situation in which you're trying to trade a $4,000 option. So you can do something like 5 to 2, let's say, and completely based on what you're trying to trade.
Right.
And this one's even better, a quantity range. So let's say you're trading.
Let me interrupt you 1 second.
Go for it.
I don't see that on mine.
You don't see that? Did you click the instrument option?
Yeah, right up above it says instrument, it says option.
And which one? You don't see option price range?
No, I don't see the last one that you just clicked on.
Okay, so you have
quantity
to choose
range. I don't see that.
Right, you have to choose the quantity basis first.
Gotcha. Where's that?
Right at the top. The form needs to be
quantity.
shrunk.
There you go. That's why.
That's a big to-do, is making this form half the size it is, but now it should show up.
Okay, now we're good. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so let's say you trade $2,000, right? And you want to ensure that you trade a quantity between 2 and let's say you're trading, let's say 4 and 8. Okay, so let's just make this a little bit more visual. Get Notepad up. Let's say you're going $2,000, right? Between 4 and 8 contracts. That means your minimum option, it's going to cost $5. Your maximum will be around 2.5. Right?
Yep.
So that's how, even furthermore, this is something that's very, very powerful. You can choose, when you're trading options, you can have your dollar of 2,000 and ensure you get a quantity number that satisfies you. If that's too wide, you can go 4 to 6.
Right.
Right. So that's how, in terms of what you were saying with the Tesla, you can always be making sure that you trade Tesla options that will get you in a quantity range of 4 to 8 within $2,000.
So then what'll happen is it'll populate that specific or those specific options
Right.
in that category there.
Exactly. And you won't see it
Okay.
here. Right here, you're going to see all the options that you send to us. But in terms of when we start a trade plan, you see the options you're tracking, which I'll hopefully get up, when we actually run into it or create the trade plan, we'll get up. But you can see which ones you're actually following, but you should probably send us all of the options that you would like to possibly trade. And we'll get into quicker ways to do this than where we are right now in a second. We're actually, we just finished all this. So let's just get quickly into option selection. Okay. So
all right, where are you going? Hold on.
I'm back at the top.
Create trade plan. Okay.
Okay. So, let's say we're going to go with AMD. Okay. And right, the first two expirations automatically pop up. Right. There's a couple of quick buttons here. Right. You click long, let's say. So I already have my default setup, but let's just say this starts at none. And then you go all, you go right, and they'll give you all the calls in this time period. Right, you see all the 4 9s.
Yeah.
And just keep in mind, just to explain this more, in depth, what we're doing here, a little bit more in depth. There's a regulation by Tradier that you have to tell us what you're willing to trade. So, you're gonna do this right here, and we're gonna do all the work on the back end. But you need to send us. We can't choose something that you don't send us. So that's why these quick buttons are here. You're saying all the options here are good for me, and then you just apply the filters. You can go with front, right? And that will just choose the first week available. Okay. And same thing, obviously, with the puts, right? And in addition to that, one more quick thing, let's say it's a Monday, you like to trade this week's always, right? But on Fridays, since the expirations, are really coming up, you're going to want to go to the next week, right? You can have the option to choose not expiring today, right? This is down in the instrument. And you'll see, one sec, let me just reload this. Oh, sorry, it's Thursday. That's why this is still here. Okay, I thought it was Friday. Okay, if you had to do this on a Friday, you'd see that these options would disappear. Okay, does that make sense or?
Yeah. So, especially now, I guess there's a regulation out that you can't trade, the day that the options expire unless they have X amount of money or something like that.
Right. So just click not expiring today, and that will take care of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then one last quick thing is, if you want to go long the option or sell the option, buy or sell option, right? That's down in the instrument. So this would be going, let's say if you want to go long, you're going long the calls. If you want to go short on a long, you'd be going short the put. Okay. Okay, is all good here or make sense?
Well, hold on.
Go for it.
Again, I mean, you'd be long on both if you're just buying the option.
Well, if you go long on a trade, right, you can there's two ways to do that with options. You can either go long the call or short the put. Right.
Yeah, if you sell the put, right.
Right. So that would be you can either go long by shorting, right? You'd be shorting the put, or you can go long by buying the call. And that's what this field.
Right. Okay.
Right. Okay. So we're gonna just do something very, very quickly, not on the form. The form will save state, so it's not a problem. But I just want to demonstrate, right? We are obviously trying to get this form to be as best as it can. We're trying to do little things in the meantime. One of the things that we've done is, so you notice right here, I'm going to type in a symbol. And let's see, why did it freeze? I'm not sure why that just happened. Okay, let's just refresh this. Maybe it's because it's stuck here.
I mean, we've always had problems with when you're on Zoom. So
I know. I'm hoping to fix that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So you notice how it just jumped itself on the front, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason it does that is because we're, as I said, we're trying to save you the mouse clicks. So, you want to do all options automatically, the first 2 weeks available. You want to do the front options. We have that in a right click out of that right here in the settings for user settings. You click on user preferences and then you click the trade plan button. And we have default option radio. Okay, so just to go over that again, you click the red here, user preferences, trade plan, and you see how I have mine here to front.
Yes.
Okay, so whenever I open up a trade plan, or whenever I click, I do some kind of symbol manipulation, it's always going to default to the front. Right, so it saves you a couple of mouse clicks, which is really nice.
So you'll have that preset in there for any option that you're going to do. It's already set for the front.
Exactly, and you can do that however you want. So I think Lee has a preset to all. Just whatever you like to trade, that's what it is. Okay, fine. So, okay. So we're gonna try to get into some of the strat stuff. As I said, or we plan on implementing it a lot more. At this point, it's not, I don't know if you can necessarily sit there at let's say 9:25, and then just have it try pick up hour candles the whole day. You can do let's say on a daily, right? You can say like try to break the day high or that kind of stuff, but it's not going to yet be able to pick up, okay, inside candle, or say 2, 1, 2, right? So we're not at that point yet. But I'll show you how you can still use the platform to trade the strat, because as long as you click ad hoc, we'll tell it to go right to the entry tactics. And then a candle break, right? You can always just do the candle break. Right? Let's just give a quick example. So I'll show a trade I actually did today and show you how you can configure that. So I tried right here. This is like a really pretty on the 1 minute chart. 2, 2, 2, 1, and then boom, right there. As Rob would say, taking all these guys out, right?
So you took it on the break of that, the 1 bar.
Right. So, what would your dollar amount be? Let's say 2,000 or whatever is good for you.
Yeah, maybe you could use that.
Okay. So you have your candle duration, and then you have your break buy. Okay. So what the break buy is it says, and this is, there's so many different ways to do this. Some people like the front run. Some people like to get in after the fact. I personally let's just say for the tutorial, I'm going to give it like a 5-cent break buy, which means that right here is our candle, right? The candle high is 128.95. I want to see it be able to, show some momentum, 5 cents of momentum, and enter in at 129. Right? That's what the 5 cents here represents. It's saying, okay, so, and then fine. Last thing in this tactic right here is this wait until current candle closes. It's probably one of the most confusing fields, but it's an absolute necessity that Lee and I have gone over about. Okay, so if you leave it blank, so if you leave it blank, what it's going to do is it's always going to try to break the previous candle, right? So let's say you're in the middle of this candle at 9:32. Okay, and you want to try to trade the break of the 9:31. Okay, so you would leave that blank at 9:32, let's say 9:32 and 30 seconds right here. It would try to trade the break right here. Okay, now let's say, and I personally have a saved configuration for each of these. One called, let's say like Strat 60, wait until current candle closes, and one called start immediately. And the reason is
Okay,
let's say,
so
yeah, go for it.
go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's say I want to trade this candle, right? And it's 9, we're trading 1 minute candles, right? We have to go really, really fast. And I know I want to trade this candle, and I know it's going to really shoot, right? I don't want to have to wait until 9:30, right? This is the 9:32 candle. I don't have to wait till 9:33 in 1 second to say trade this candle, right? Because if you're always trying to trade the previous candle, then you're going to be you're going to have to sit and wait. So what this does is, I can see an inside candle is forming here. I'm going to tell it to wait until the current candle closes. Then once this candle finishes, let's say I put this in at 9:32 and 30 seconds, and 9:33 at 1 second, it's going to activate on the green candle, and then it's going to start trying to trade this break. So I personally have one setup because that's such a vital, especially when you're in smaller time frames, it's such a vital need to be able to say, I'm going to want to trade the next candle, right? So I have one setup called, Strat, let's say 1 minute, wait until current candle closes, and then Strat 1 minute, start immediately. Okay, is that clear or?
Yeah, but how do you differentiate, or how do you tell that you're on, the 1 minute chart instead of the 60-minute or whatever? Because based on the candle break, did you put the 1 minute in there?
Yeah, so it's always the candle duration.
I didn't see that. Okay.
Right, I forgot to explain that field. So this is the key field, and you can go 60 minutes, right? If you want to do that, you can go 15 minutes. You can go 2 minutes. You can, whatever you want.
Now that field, Ethan, is geared towards cost charts, any charts, because there's some charts out there that have 30-second or 15-second charts.
So we haven't gotten to that yet. This is all just minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
One day for sure we're going to do that, and then ticks and all that kind of stuff. You also have to, it's a little bit more complex because we have to make sure we match up with let's say with like a thinkorswim, right? And you're trying to do like these smaller time frames, it's easier to have something a little bit different than them. So it's something that's a little bit of a work in progress at this point. But so right now we're just doing minutes.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Fine. So, you wanted to talk about the 60. Okay, so let's get up an Apple. I think there was an inside candle in the hour. Okay, so let's say you wanted to trade this candle right here. Okay, so you get candle duration of 60, your dollar amount if you want to break buy. I'm sure most people don't want to break buy, just by the way. Just I'm showing it for the point of this video, just for clarity.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just get that back to normal. And if you're in the middle of this candle and you want to wait till the end, let's say you're at work, right? It's the time is now 11 o'clock, and you're seeing, okay, this could be an inside candle. I don't want to sit there until 11:30 just to put it in, right? You can do that in the middle of the candle by saying wait until the current candle closes, or right at the end of this, right? You can put it in right here. Or you can wait. Let's say you're in this candle already, and you say I want to trade this break, then you leave this unchecked. Okay. Is that all good or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just confirming you're doing this along with me, right? So it makes sense.
So I'm trying to keep up. You know the program a little bit better
For sure.
So you're going pretty quick through it.
For sure. So I also just want to make some pace and show you a lot of stuff. So okay, so fine. That's just that would be your simple entry onto the 60-minute candle, let's say. There are other ways, with this program that you can trade on, let's say, a daily chart or a weekly chart or a monthly chart, right? Do Strat stuff, which we'll get into if we have time towards the end. It's with the just to show it very, very briefly. We're not going to delve into it because I don't want to overload, but you can go with the candle trigger and say, like break the current candle, high, or break the week high or the month high, right? So fine. So let's just deal with this. And now let's get into exit tactics. Okay, so first things first, if you're going with one of Rob's strategies, you have to have a candle trail, right? Because, let's go with this, right? You're going to want to, this is a great trade. This is actually a great trade for the inside candle. So you want to trade right here when it breaks beneath this low, right? That's your exit. So what the candle trail will do is it will continue to run up along with it, right? So, your 60 minutes, you get in here, your first stop would be here. You get in here, your next stop would be here, get in here, next stop here, etc. So that's what the candle trail does, 60 minutes. Okay. All good? Or let me know if you were like, if something isn't clear, I don't mind explaining it like 100 times. I also just want to
No,
get along.
just scroll up a little bit to the top in that field, because I have to reset mine. I think it like times out or something.
What happened?
So so you're just in trade plan.
Yeah. It's the first one that opens up when you open up the form.
There you go. All right. Yeah, because it just wouldn't. I had to it had to like okay.
Okay.
Now good. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So the candle trail is the first one. Okay, and then let's see. And then another one that Rob seems to be pretty big about is a loss limit, right? And that could be whatever amount you want. So let's say $150, right? Rob seems to set his stops very, very tight. You could do less, you could do more, whatever is good. And then another one that would be, he doesn't seem to preserve profit is, if you make some money, look to take me out. I don't see where he uses that one so much. Underlying price trail, for sure not. Position price trail, for sure not. Let's see. Break price is just, a hard break of a support. This would be usually used once you're inside of the trade plan. Let's say you get Apple and it goes to 130.2 and you say, okay, if Apple breaks below 130, sell. But I don't think that's so practical for any of the Strat stuff. Okay, and then we have another one. This is very interesting. It's called green to red candles. Okay, and this is, I think, could be very useful for the Strat as well. So let's give an example. Let's see if I can find an example. Do this guy. The 1 minute chart, you'll probably get more.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is a great example of where this could be very, very useful. Okay, so let's say, you have your 2, 2, and then 2 back up, and you're riding this guy, it's going great, right? And then you have right here, you have a huge spurt up. Okay, and now it starts coming back down, right? And, it's one of those situations where it's going to end up breaking and going lower, but you're still stuck up here. You can either wait until you get all the way down here, or, let's say if it reaches halfway beneath this candle right here, let's say, let's get out. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what this tactic comes to address. We're going to go on the 60-minute candle again. If we have a break in the right direction, right here, and it starts to retrace, once it retraces 40% beneath into this candle, so let's say the 60% line, right, then we're going to exit. Okay, does that?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, I think that tactic itself has been like a lifesaver for me. I love that tactic. And then the last thing that's very, very important is you need to define a minimum candle height. Okay, and I'll give you a reason. I'll show you why. So this candle is, let's say, 10 cents. Okay, so, that's an okay candle for Apple. You might want to, maybe we'll trade that one, right? But let's say you're going on this candle, and this is a 6-cent candle. It would suck if you get like halfway up the 6-cent candle, and then it goes to, let's say, this candle range is 129.81 to 129.75, right? And let's say it gets to, 129.77. You wouldn't want to necessarily exit right there because it's so tight.
Yeah.
So the minimum candle height, let's say for an Apple, maybe 20 cents, right? So you can really get that feel of a shooter up, and then it's starting to stall up here. And you're going to want to limit out and avoid this kind of trading a green to red on this kind of candle.
Right.
Okay, so it depends really on what you're doing. If you're trading a Tesla, you might want it to be like $1, right? If you're trading an Apple, you might want it to be like 20 cents. And there's nothing wrong with making, let's say, a configuration for Tesla, a configuration for an Apple, but it's definitely a very nice feature, I think. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a good feature. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So I think this would be okay. And then last thing is, sometimes, it really depends on what type of strategy you work with. Sometimes, there are traders that use drop stuff that have, that let their stuff just keep going. And then there are people that, like to take it out on the way up, right? Do you have a preference towards either one?
Yeah.
Do you like to
Yeah.
take?
When I'm sitting there, I'll just take it as but if I'm not around, then I'll have to just, leave the orders in,
But I'm saying
and let them get taken out.
I'm saying not in terms of that. I mean, like, let's say you're trading this right here, right? Would you? Some people some of the stuff I see would say, some people would say, keep holding, keep holding, keep holding, keep holding, and then sell everything on this break right here. Okay, and some would say, and some would even say take more, add more, add more, add more. And
Yeah.
some would say sell a little, sell a little, sell a little, sell a little. Which
That's what I do.
you sell a little? Okay.
Yeah.
So
At least then
you're
have your
guaranteeing.
capital back.
For sure. Okay, so there's two tactics. We'll go over ratchet bracket. Well, I'll explain very briefly the difference. Grab sense, you just say sell to quantity for limit price of, let's say, 130. Let's say sell two for 130, sell another two for 130.5, sell another two for 131. And then you have ratchet bracket, in which Lee and I talk about a lot. And it says have a target for $50, let's say, have another target for another $50, up and up and up, and then there's going to be a trail behind it. So let's see, so like, ratchet bracket would say, let's just get back on this, right? Let's say you have a 10-cent target, right? So here's your 10 cents, let's say, and your stop is like going to be a little bit below that. These are just completely, let's move it a little higher, completely made up. So 129.45, let's say you have your first at here, okay? And then you have a 10-cent stop on it. So let's say right here. When this gets taken out, this stop will automatically move up 10 cents. And then your next target would be, right, that's one way to do it. In other words, it doesn't really pay attention to the candles, but there's always a tight stop running up with you. Or you can have, let's say, a grab sense type of thing in which you just say, okay, I want one order here, another one here, right? And then, let's just get this down. And then as you get taken out, there's no automatic trail necessarily behind it. Do you have a preference or?
It's just normally like I used to do it with the EMA, like the 8 EMA. That's kind of how
Okay, so we've spoken about this before, and it's still a ticket to-do list, but we don't have the EMA as an exit tactic right now. But it's
I know that. I'm just saying that's kind of what I would typically rely on. But the ratchet bracket's a nice feature where it just keeps going up.
Right. Okay.
Steps,
Okay, so I haven't really advertised this mode yet because it's a little bit more complex than the other ones. And I know this is probably a lot of information, but it adds a lot of advantages to like the trading. So we're gonna go with that, and as opposed to the other modes. And I also don't have any videos on it, but it's a much better mode than the other modes. Okay, so what this does is it sets targets based on profit. So it doesn't know necessarily at the time what the fill price or the quantity are, right? It just knows that you want to make $50, let's say, on 5 targets. Okay, so to draw this up, let's say you're trading $2,000, you have 10 quantity and 10, and then 2 average fill price. Okay, and let's say we're going to set this to $100. We're going to have 5 brackets, and a stop loss of 250 underneath hand. Okay. And so this is just an example, and, you know, obviously do whatever numbers you like to do, you know, like whatever profits you want to make, and we can discuss it more in depth after I show you the example, but I think this is like a very, very powerful mode to use. And yeah, it definitely fills up a couple of holes we were having before. So you're going to want to make your target is $100, right? So that means, and you have 5 brackets, right? Just to show the $100 is right here. The brackets are right here. Okay. So what this is going to set up modes of $100, right? $200, $300, $400, and $500. And it's going to try and make 5 orders from your 10 quantity that can give you this amount. Okay, so your first one, right? So it gets, you have 10 quantity and you have your 2 average fill price, right? And you have 5 brackets. That means it's going to want to allocate 2 quantity to each bracket. Right, just 10 divided by 2, or divided by 5, sorry. Okay. So that's first thing. And then in addition to that, it will figure out the limit price needed to achieve your targets. So in your first order, your target, you know, your average fill price is 2. So your first target is going to need to be, let's say you're going to need to sell for 2.5, right? And that's going to give you a profit of $100. Mm-hmm. Your next one is going to be 3. That will give you a profit of 200. Your next one's going to need to be, let's see, it's a little bit of a hard one. Just get a calculator up. Let's see, 300 divided by 2 divided by 100. Okay, so your next one is going to need to be 3.5, and so on, right? So the benefit of using this mode is that, you know, you just tell it how much money you want to make and how much you want your stop to be. Your stop is always going to be, let's say, so you're dealing with $250 stop on $200, right? Or $2,000, right? That's going to be what? 25 cents, right? So your stop is going to be, your first stop would be at stop of 1.75, right? And your next one is going to be stop of, I think it is 2.25, and so on and so on. Right, so that's where, right, so do you see the benefit is that it figures everything out for you, as opposed.
So it keeps ratcheting up on the stops as well.
Yeah, exactly. It always ratchets up, and the stop is kept at a consistent. If you ever go 250 down from a potential gain, then you get ratcheted out. And you can also, if you want to, you can always set a trail. You know, let's say you want to have, let's say 50%, 50%, you know, in resting orders, and then 50% as a trail. Let whatever happens to it happens to it. You can do that, and that will just take, instead of working with 10 quantity, you'll work with 5 quantity.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know, you could configure however you want. You know, this is obviously a little bit unrealistic because, I mean, if your first target's at 100, is it from 2 to 2.5? That's a really good trade. So, you know, you might want to do, let's say, like $40, right? And that will get you at, let's say, what is it? And my mental math is breaking right now. Target of $40 would be, what is it? 2.2, right? That might even be too much, but do you see what I'm saying? Is that you should really figure out for yourself. And that's
so you can, on the if you do that and you have the 5 orders, you know, or 5 contracts, then, and then the other 50% is running, how do you adjust that 50% stop?
So, okay. So if I understood you correctly,
and the exit tactic on the 50%, do you just allocate a certain you know number, or how does that work with the 50% that you have that you want to let run?
Okay, so if you had 5 as your quantity, right? Let's say 5 quantity with trail 50%, you know, it would allocate 1 quantity each, right, for your order. Your stop would stay the same. This is a stop of $250 no matter what, and always ratchets up. And then in terms of after this, let's say, you're the luckiest man ever. You somehow hit these five $100, you've made, let's say, $1,500 on this trade, right? That's actually not the luckiest man ever, but let's say you have a really good trade. At that point, it will, no resting orders, but it'll just work on the quotes. So it will say, at $600, which would be, let's say the option reaches 5, let's say, okay, then we know to ratchet up. Right. So instead of, the resting orders won't physically be there, but the math of how you compute the amounts are still going to be working on. That's what the trail does. So you'll work with, let's say, $600, let's say 5, and then let's say it's going to be just off the top of my, like, I'm making up numbers at this very moment. Then the stop would be at 3.5. And then let's say, it eventually gets the price gets to 6, right? Then it will ratchet up the stop to 4.5. So it's like the orders aren't there, but the math is still working on behind the scenes.
Okay, so it's still going up.
Yeah, that's how the trail works. Okay. Okay, great. And just so, and then you can make as many configurations as you want, and then when you get up here, you just start typing in and things come up, right? So let's go with our ratchet bracket. Just these are random things I've made, but okay. And it just edited. So I accidentally just lost our previous thing, but I'll quickly get it back. Strat 60. And okay, so as I said, we're gonna just do this for real. Let's say we're gonna have one, as I said, we need to do wait until current candle closes, and you don't have to do that as wordy as I just did it. We don't want the symbol, right? And we don't want to have a direction. Right, we want all the stuff here. We're going to go with a candle break of, say, of 2000. Right, and this is going to be a wait until current candle closes one. Right, and we're going to have a candle trail of 60, ratchet bracket of, let's say, 50, and a stop loss of 250. 5, let's say 3 brackets, and a 50% trail, green to red candles, 0.2 or it's 60. So let's have it be a little bit bigger. 60-minute candles. Okay, and the loss limit of, let's say, 200. Okay. So this is going to be our wait until current candles, which addresses the issue of, it's right now, I want to wait until the candle closes, and we go, you're going to have save. You're going to have save right there because you haven't done this already. And I just, entered this RB in there. So I'm going to click save as. Save as will make a new trade plan from your already existing trade plan. So save as. So you should just click save. And then you should see this. And let me know when your
name will come up. Yeah.
Okay. And then we're also going to want to have, sorry about that, we're going to want to have a start immediately. If you want to trade the previous candle. And we're going to want to get rid of this. Right, the wait until current candle closes, that will trade the previous candle. Okay, and then, you would do save as now. Update would just update the previous thing that you just made, right? So save as will make a new trade plan for you.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Is everything good and clear? Are there any questions before we quickly run into making a trade, like how to interact while you're in a trade?
No, that's good. And again, you have these added features now with the, highlight, the was that exclamation point or something, and details come out. So that's helpful.
Thank you. It's hard work.
Yeah, I was going to say unless it took forever, but it does help though.
I'm sure. I mean, I use it myself, so I experience it, and just very, very briefly, I would just want to revisit this because, trading the strat on daily, weekly charts and a monthly chart is also doable from here, with the candle trigger, right?
Yeah.
And this will say, this ended up being ended up actually a little bit working out, but right here, this is a classic Rob hammer counter shooter guy, right? And I mean, this ended up being a terrible chart because the weekly's inside, monthly's inside, but it's still a good example. You know, you're right here on this day, it opens up below right here, right? And on the break of this high, you're going to want to buy. Okay.
Yeah.
So very simple, you know, 1 day back, right? Candle duration. This is a 1 day chart, one candle back, and boom. Validate candle just means like, you know, if the trade is already above the yesterday's price, don't do it. You probably don't want that in there, but fine. Let's say, you know, Peloton on the weekly, right? Right here, you have an outside candle. Let's say you want to buy, also not the greatest example, but it works. Right here on the 116.29, right? You have the 1, 3, and then a 2. So you can say buy on the break of the previous week, right? And that's also very much strat stuff that you can use our system for. And, you know, as I was saying, hopefully sooner or later, we're going to have it in that you can go actually just say like set up as a strat and then say 2, 1, 2, and, you know, you just enter it before the market and not worry about it. But okay, so let's make a trade plan, and I'm just going to make these numbers really, really big so that we don't get stopped out really quickly. Okay, the candles aren't going to really ever show up because they're really large candles. And I also don't want to get stopped out too quickly. So we're just going to leave that. We're going to set this as a $500 profit, $600, let's say $1,000 here, $1,000 here. Okay, so if you want to, you can follow along here or you can go along with me, whatever you want.
I'm just gonna watch because you're moving pretty quick, so I'll just watch.
For sure, it makes sense. I'm also, yeah, it's also like we're not necessarily gonna have the same results once we go live because we're gonna be using simulated data. Okay, so you enter the trade plan, and here is our price to break. This 101 is just made up from simulated, right? And once it breaks here, your entry will occur. If you want to enter before that takes place, let's just make this break by really big so I can show you. You know, so right here you can change things. Here's your candle break. You know, you have a candle break now at $5 on the 60-minute candle. And here I'll show you something you can do, which is like I've also started using a little bit for some of Rob's stuff and how you can trade multiple time frames at once using Trade Unafraid, which is really cool. But let's say, you know, you believe that this is the bottom and you want to enter now. Okay, this button will let you enter now. Does that make sense? Like, you know, let's say front running, you know, enter now. Let's just get in really quickly.
Yeah, or you just pulled the chart up and it's like, oh, there it is right now. And you just click in.
Right. Awesome. So let's just do that because I don't want to have to sit and make you wait for the candle to break. Okay, so fine. Okay, so I got really small quantity. I had my trail of 50%. That's why I only have one resting order. Let's see. Okay, is everything good here? Let's just make this. Okay, I shouldn't be stopped out anytime soon. That's the goal. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, manipulating the fill price, you can, you know, let's change this to a $10. You know, you can change the quantity, whatever you want right here. This is that guy for that. Okay, all these are the quantity and the limit are editable fields. Okay, and here you have your, let's see, let's make this, the issue is that I don't want to accidentally get stopped out. So let's just make this a $300 loss and let's see if it shows up. No, it doesn't show up yet. $200 right there. So here's your stop and shoot, let's get rid of it. Okay. So, you know, when these are, I like, let me know if I'm going too fast. I just want to cover the material. So,
no, it's good.
So, you know, you can add trails, you know, let's say, right, the blue buttons are the ones that you're in, right? So we have a candle trail. It isn't showing up because the chart is, it's way beneath the chart. The blue ones are the ones that you're in. and the green ones are the ones that you're not in, right?
Okay.
And if you want to get in, you type in something. Let's see, the issue is that this is going so fast, and I don't want to get stopped out accidentally. If you want to get rid of it, I'll just show you. You click the red button, right, and now you're out. Okay. And you can add things. This is just skyrocketing down. It's like really fast. Okay, maybe we're getting some retracement here. So, let's say on a break of, no, it's still going really fast. This is a terrible trade. We're already down $700.
Because you were waiting for it to return. You were
Yeah.
waiting for it to, yeah.
So I can try to show you a stop, at least where it shows up, but
Yeah.
Okay, we should be good for a little bit. So I'll quickly put this in. Let's see, 94.5. Here's your price. You add it. Oh, it's already came back. Okay, when you would hit the green button. Jeez. This has to go up eventually, right? Where's the hopium?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those typical trades where, you could have got stopped out at a 5-cent loss and you're like, oh, wait a minute, it's going to retrace here. It's going to retrace here, here.
Yeah, you're already down $1,000.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's just quickly try to do this. Green button right here. You see, and then it gets added in right there. Right, and this adjusts with you. So let's just go with an underlying price trail of 50 cents. All right, you'll see it moves. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And now this is how you can trade. We're just getting started on the charting, but you can always trade multiple time frame continuities. You have your 60-minute up here, right? But very often if you see the lower time frames start to break against you, you're going to want to get out, right? So let's say you hit your first target, you're going into exhaustion risk, right? And then all of a sudden, let's just change the candle trail to being a 15-minute candle trail instead of the 60-minute, right? So that if the 15 minutes starts to flip over, then I'll get out. And that's how you do this. Right. And it's not showing up because the simulated data doesn't have any 15-minute candles yet. But that's how it works.
So in the lag data, then the candles would change.
Yeah. I wish I took a video of my trading this morning, but the candles change, and the candles obviously are alive and they move. If it was here, let's say if it was here, then it would go down to here, and then it would go to here, right? And then we'll go to here. It's always moving along with the trade. And yeah,
so what's like, there's a lot of black on the side, on the right side, and like it's very tight. So to me, it almost looks like a tick chart. Because how tight the candles are and everything. I guess that's still either a work in progress, or is it just because it's on the simulated account?
So multiple things is that this is actually around 50. This is around 50 candles. So it's a little bit bigger than it looks. It looks so ugly and like tight because it's simulated. All the candles here are completely simulated. But in live trading, it's not so bad. On the aside, this is obviously still a huge work in progress. I'm itching to getting saying that this price right here is getting rid of this stupid little thing here and having this say 96, 96 point or 96, 95, et cetera, and moving with it. Another thing that we're obviously going to add is that, let's say we add in this price trail, right? And it doesn't tell you what price it is. So there's a lot to do. And that's why there's this black region so that you can kind of, add things in here and say what they are. And maybe we'll get rid of it. Maybe we won't. But yeah, this only looks so crunched in because it's it's simulated data, and these are 97 to 103 bars on simulated made up data. When you're trading live, it's much neater. Yeah.
Now, do you typically rely on that, or are you looking at the cost charts, or what are you doing? On your end?
So both. So, meaning that when I'm in the trade itself, I'm mostly looking at this guy because, let's say, right, let's move this up to 5.5, right? This is going to show up right here. So I can, change this So I want to see this, right? And mess with this. Let's say I have my price trail. I want to see where my exit is, right? So when I'm in the trade, I'm using this stuff. When I'm out of the trade, you know, I'm still using Thinkorswim because we don't have the charting to that extent yet. Sooner or later, but yeah. When I'm in the trade, I use this, and it needs to get better, but it's really nice to see all of your 5 exit tactics. You know, I don't have anything up here because I don't want to get stopped out really quickly because this thing just keeps going down.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, once I'm in the trade, I use this.
Okay.
And
that's the option chart next to it, which is, I guess, the bid ask, the lines that are running. So
right.
So you're looking at the stock that you're trading, but the option contract that you actually purchased.
Right, and you can also the exit show up here, right? So here's your oops. Okay, I have to research why that just happened. Okay, that was bad. So let's get that back up here. But yeah, one sec. So you can the exits would show up here as well. So
on the option chart.
Yeah, the exits show up on the option chart as well.
Okay.
I'm not sure why that just happened, so I don't want to just force it again. I'll give it a shot. It was I was really not expecting that. Let's see if this thing is going right down again. Okay, let's say 30 cents. Okay, I'm not sure why this is happening, but you do see it showing up on the red, on like that red line. Okay, and
I saw that.
Yeah, okay, I'll definitely fix that issue though. Okay, and then one last thing or group of things is that, you know, this is significantly, yeah, you have a lot of power. Right here, you have probably more power than you would have on a Thinkorswim itself. And this is your toolbars. Okay, so from here, you can enter more into a trade. Let's say buy to open of one quantity at the market. You know, you can get in like that. And then you notice, right, look at that. So you notice how the order went right here? It got the order, right? Watch this. It's going to add another quantity here on the sell side. Okay, so the math was a little off. Let's just do it one more time. So you see how it added the third ratchet bracket here? So your exits are automatically updated with each new quantity. Okay. And then you can obviously sell, right, if you want. And this is just like your normal trade button. You can flatten and close the whole thing right here. And then you have your close one and your close percentages. This will close 10% of your trade. This is 25, this is 50, and this is 75%. And this is, you know, just close one. And the benefit of using this kind of thing is that we're smart and we always try to cancel your resting orders beforehand, right? So let's say this is about to get hit really quickly. You know, you can cancel obviously with this red button, or you want to just get out, you know, get out faster, close one, it'll cancel that order and then place a new one. You know, close, let's say 50%. And then we're out of.
Yeah, or you could just hit that big red kill button too, right?
Right, but this will scale out. Let's get some more in here, right? So meaning that, okay, I just added in now up to 5 quantity. Let's say, and let's have a limit of, you know, let's say 7. Actually, let's go with, let's just make this 9, right? Let's say, you know, it's getting up here and it's kind of wavering out. You don't think it's going to end up hitting 9. You know, let's just close one now. And then, but we'll want to cancel this as well. So we get rid of the nearest one and then still keep our trail completely intact. So we're always, right? And then let's say, you know, all the more so, let's say you have, you know, you're loaded out right here. You have 5 quantity, right? And you want to get out. Let's make this 8, right? So how, you know, you want to close one really fast, but you can't because, you know, your classic stupid broker, just you, I have to cancel my orders first, right? So we do that. And then you see it went down to 2 and you close 1. So this toolbar is very, very powerful. I mean, if you're not sitting by the computer, obviously, like you're not using it so much, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the other thing that, you know, also, you know, with mobile, that's what I was asking about, you know, this eventually if you get this thing on mobile, then
it'd be a dream.
Yeah, well, it would be just, you can always check and just, get out or edit or, adjust the ratchets at some point too.
100%. I totally agree, and hopefully one day. Mobile is a hardball game, but I mean it's hard because you minimize the screen and then
Yeah.
Where did everything go?
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you ever looked at TOS charts on mobile?
Yeah. I love their stuff, but my point is that I just meant that programmatically, like it's a very hard thing to do, and
Yeah.
hopefully one day. This is very much baby steps, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that questions or anything to go over? Because, I'd love to be able to get you trading and feel comfortable trading. Lee and I have been using this for a very long time now, and so it works. And, just want to make you comfortable with it.
Yeah, no, you know what I'm going to need is, any of the videos that we had previously made, if you could just, including this one, just send me the link.
Okay.
Because then I can review it over and over again as I'm plugging in trade plans and, adjusting things. And then I can always just send you a question on Discord.
Yeah, please always send questions. I'll probably answer within 10 minutes, and very timely answers. And it's good for everybody involved. That. It's good for everybody involved. So always send questions. It's never a pain. It lets me know what I'm not doing right. So, if you have questions, that means it's not clear. So it's always appreciated.
For me anyway, it's a big learning curve.
For everybody, it's a big learning curve. It's new. It's like there's nothing really available like this. So it's what happens,
Yeah.
It's like not even TradeStation doesn't even have something like this. Like in terms of the software, like our look isn't going to be as nice, but in terms of the software, it's not as it's not as powerful. So it's definitely a learning curve, and I'm 100% here to help out. So
yeah, no, thanks. I appreciate it.
Okay, so I'll let Lee know he has the videos. I'm not sure where he stored them, but I'll make sure he puts them online, and then you can, view previous videos. We have like 7 or 8 now. I don't know how many he has up, but yeah, between that and then always feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, no problem. And so you think I'll have to check YouTube under, I guess it would be under Unafraid. I'll check, see what you have there. And then, like I said, if any of the other ones that we've made, together, then, if they're not up, then, I'd like to review those. So this weekend, I want to work on, getting some trade plans set up and, actually trading.
Okay, for sure. And always feel free to ask, even on the weekend. On the weekend, I won't be as able to answer as fast, but I'll definitely try to answer. But
yeah, no problem. Thanks a lot, Ethan. I really appreciate it.
Sure. And then one last button. Let's close this out.
Yeah.
Okay. So have a good night, and I'll upload this now, and I'll tell Lee to post the other videos.
Good, thanks a lot.